Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is a Matilda. It's the Tier 4 British medium tank. This one's located on the southwest spawn of Empire's border, and it's under the command of Andromeda. And with him is Skid Kid, I think, also of the same clan. No retreat, no surrender. Well, I think that Andromeda might be a bit surprised to see this replay, mainly because it took place 2 years ago. Yes, July of 2020. He sent it in to me. Unfortunately, like a lot of my replays, they get delayed because other clients get come in ahead of them, and or not ahead of them, but after them, and it's very difficult to get all the replays done at the same time. So generally they get put to one side until I have the time to actually produce the video. But I finally got around to it because we're having a little fest of Matilda games, and yes, I thought he'd like to see this one. In fact, it's we've got 2 videos and 2 replays in each video for him to enjoy. Okay, the Matilda. It is a medium tank, although technically it almost acts like a heavy tank in many ways. It's armed with a 40mm gun, which is actually a 2-pounder, capable of doing 55 alpha and penetrating 121mm with standard ammo. And with the premium ammo, the APCR goes to 145mm. It's not the first tank of its name. There was another tank called the Matilda, Matilda 1, and that was armed only with machine guns and had open tracks. There was no covers over the tracks, which meant that it was fairly easy for them to get dislodged, either by explosions or by the terrain itself. The Matilda 2 saw service in all theatres of World War II. They were actually active in the Pacific, in Australia. They were active in Russia. In fact, these were the tanks that were guarding the gates of Moscow when the Germans arrived. You've just spotted an enemy tank over there in the distance. It's an M8A1. And he's gone. Yes, the British actually sent a whole load of Matildas over to Russia. 918 actually arrived of the 1,084 that were sent, and the Russians put them to good effect when they defended Moscow. In fact, actually, they were very useful because the Matilda was actually quite a reliable tank. And another one goes down. This time Skid Kid got the kill. Oh, now that's unfortunate. That was a T-34 shielded, and he just hit us with a 75mm gun. Is it a 75mm? I think it might actually be a 76mm gun, actually. The stock gun. 76.2mm, I think. Anyway, the Matilda. Yeah, quite an interesting tank because it's very complicated. It's an infantry tank, so it's slow, but it has incredible armor. Technically, it should be almost considered as a heavy tank, just like that Churchill up there. But the thing is that it is reduced weight. It's not the same weight as a Churchill. Only 29 tons in weight. But it's got very solid armor. And for the shells it comes up against, it can bounce a lot of them because the armor's so strong, so tough at the front of the vehicle. Well, unfortunately, we just lost the Churchill 3. It was one of a set of Churchills that was sent over to Russia during the war. Sent over to the Soviet Union, I should say. There's that T-34 shielded. Yeah, for some reason, the settings here are not showing the correct markings. It's actually showing the names of the tanks rather than the actual type. But we can, of course, put the type up just by putting the alt up. You can see now we've got a Panzer III Ausführung J in front of us. And we've got that offset reticule again. Very weird. And, oh, that one went up fairly quickly. That was a Panzer III here. Now we've got a T1 Heavy. I think it is T1 Heavy. It is a tier 6 game with tier 4 tanks in it. Oh, it's an M6 actually. It's even worse. Yeah, 90mm gun, but he's firing HE at us. Which is a bit funny really, because a 90mm should be able to punch through the armor on the Matilda, but I think he's having a great deal of difficulty. And that's down to the fact that Andromeda is actually playing very carefully, not to show too much. But I would say actually now by pulling back, he's giving that M6 a chance to pull out. If he were to side scrape, oh, now he got a 90mm pen there, I think, or is it? No, it's an APCR round, and he's using the stock gun. He's not using the top gun, the 90mm. Okay, we've just lost another of our tanks. It's 3 versus 5 at the moment. Andromeda's really up against it. We've got 2 tanks in our camp area, but it's Andromeda that's protecting our cap here down at the gates. And he's pushing that wreck out in front of him, the enemy M6. We're down to our last few hit points. Only got 9 hit points left, which is why Andromeda's trying to be so careful. Oh! Now, he does need to fire his APCR at this stage of the game, where he's got so few hit points left. He needs to make sure every round hits the target and pens. And so he can't afford to miss. And he gets the M6. Now it's 2 versus 4, but Andromeda's down his gunner. He needs to put his gunner back in. He's got a first aid kit, so he can do it. Okay, so he's got his gunner back. But he's only got 9 hit points left. They're up against a Panzer III Ausführung J and a 14 TP, an M44 and an Excelsior. The Matilda has above average hit points really for its class and tier. 570 hit points available, but of course in the case of that M6, Andromeda was being pummeled by 90mm rounds, or not, it wasn't 90mm, they were 76mm rounds, I think. I don't think they were 75mm. And the Excelsior has been spotted by the Panzer IV Ausführung H on our team. I think Andromeda's just trying to block that Panzer III Ausführung J of the enemy team from coming down this way. Gonna hold up here in defense. Our Panzer IV Ausführung H is headed towards the gates. I think he's kind of leaving Andromeda to deal with the Excelsior on his own. We do know that the enemy team has 1,820 hit points available, whereas our team's only got 314, and of course Andromeda's only got 9 of those. And the Excelsior is capping. Now, will he spot Andromeda? No sixth sense has gone off, so I don't think he's moved close enough to us yet to actually notice where we are. Ben sneaking down. Good to get a chance. Oh, yes, he can hit the guy. And he auto-aims on, puts a round through him. And he hasn't got much in the way of hit points, but here comes the enemy Panzer III Aslains J, although he's not getting pens. And oh, he gets him! Very well played, Andromeda. He kills the Panzer III Aslains J, who's very well angled as well to deflect the shots, but he needs to stay behind that wreck now and just punch shells into that into the Excelsior and keep punching them in. Of course, he will get resets every time he's auto-aimed on. Oh, and there's the 14 TP. Our Panzer IV Aslains H is making his way towards the cap to kill the enemy Arty. The enemy Arty's down here. And he just fluffed his shotgun at close range. It's amazing that Andromeda is fighting on. He's killed the Excelsior. Now he just needs to kill the M44. But that guy's going to be firing. And there you go. He's killed us now. The interesting thing is the Panzer IV Aslains H on our team has gone into the enemy cap and is now capping, and he's well into the cap. And the M44 has entered our cap. There's no way the M44 can cap out unless he can get a reset, and it's very unlikely he's going to work out where the Panzer IV Aslains H is over on the other side of the battlefield. And this might be one of these moments where we head over the battlefield at high speed to see what's going on over here. We might not see the Panzer IV Aslains H, but there's the enemy cap right now. And we can see from the mini-map where he's actually sitting. He's actually sitting on the edge. So we know where he is. Now, will the enemy Arty, the M44, try to get a reset? There he is. He's showing now. Right at the edge of the screen. Now, if he can remain... Oh, the M44 tried to get a reset. Now, they only get one more shot before he runs out of time. So, one more chance to get a reset and win the game. Otherwise, yes, that's it. They've done it. They won the game with 8 seconds left on the clock. The M44 can't fire anymore. And the game is over and they've won. So, from being outnumbered, they won the game. Oh, and he did get the shot on target right at the end when it was too late. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game for Andromeda in the Matilda, and boy did he put up a big and hefty fight on the enemy to withstand their attacks. He got a fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. He got 4 exactly. He got a fire for effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle. A bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits in this one. He managed to get 9. He got the high caliber for dealing the most damage in that game. And all those resets of the Excelsior gave him a defender medal as well. So, and of course the 14 TP who happened to be in the cap at the same time. And you'd think that the 14 TP would have recognized what the situation was and driven towards Andromeda to try and distract him so that the Excelsior could get a kill shot in. But it was, I think it was in the end, it was the M44 on the enemy team who failed with his shotgun and as a consequence enabled Andromeda to get those kill shots on the Excelsior and the 14 TP. Even though he got killed in the end by the M44, he enabled his teammate in the Panzer IV Aslains H to get to the enemy cap and to cap out. So very well done. His win rate from that battle, 14,760. Very high score indeed, because of course he did do a lot of damage. And he did most of that damage when he only had 9 hit points left. Okay, let's have a look at the team score, and we can see he did 2,179 hit points of damage. The second highest damage went to the M44 with 2,147. So he was a very good player. It's just he fluffed up that shotgun and just didn't kill Andromeda when he had minimal hit points. And as a consequence, just basically handed the game over to the enemy. When it came to kills, it was actually the M44 got the most with 5. Andromeda got 4, and 3 kills went to the Panzer III Ausführung. It's not III Ausführung. It's a Panzer III 4. And when it came to base XP, it's Andromeda. Yes, 1,139. He's the only one to get over 1,000. The second highest being the Churchill 3 got 675, and then the Panzer IV Ausführung H who capped out and got an invader for 674. The T-150 got a cool-headed, and the T-52 on the enemy team picked up a Confederate during that game. Andromeda fired 72 rounds. That's an awful lot of ammunition. 52 direct hits on the enemy, 41 penetrations, 2,179 hit points, of which 111 were at more than 300 meters. He did receive 21 hits from the enemy, but only 6 of those actually penetrated because the arm is so strong, and 11 non-penetrations and 5 hits by way of splash. Yes, sometimes the enemy, when they can't penetrate a Matilda, they give up firing armor piercing and they start firing HE to try and whittle away the hit points bit by bit. But because it's got so many hit points, it's a very difficult tank to kill with HE only, unless you've got an Arty. 740 hit points of damage blocked by armor, 2 enemy vehicles spotted, 10 enemy vehicles damaged, 4 killed, 573 hit points of damage assistance, and he got 100 defense points by resetting the cap. He earned 40,439 credits from the game, but because he fired most of his premium ammo in that battle, he ended up with a loss of 56,168 credits. I think that is 168. Yes, it is. He picked up 2 bonds, 1,708 XP, and no multipliers, so that's all the experience points he took. But yeah, you see, he took 5 on at the same time. He was laughing his head off. He probably was laughing along as it was happening. You don't often get a battle where you get so many enemy tanks fluffing it up, because basically he had nothing left in terms of health, but he still kept fighting, and he was taking them down. So very well played in that game. Let's have a look at the second game. Well, here's the second replay, and in this one, Andromeda's alongside Dwayne Dibley and Splyer, and they're both from No Retreat, No Surrender. And they're also both in Matildas. It's a Matilda platoon, which could be the enemy's worst nightmare, because remember, these tanks with a 2-pounder, they can take on tier 5, in fact tier 6 tanks, and take them down. Well, Dwayne Dibley's delaying behind at the moment. He's got to play catch up. You see Andromeda's put some nice camo onto his Matilda. The 2-pounder gun actually fires a 40mm round, which actually gets compressed to 30mm in the barrel by the squeeze bore. The squeeze bore is a physical phenomenon that was actually found out by the Germans back before the First World War, but and they put it to use back then. But it was actually a Czech inventor, František Janíček, who actually came up with the idea and sold it to the British. And unfortunately, he died in 1941. So he wasn't able to take as much credit for it as I think many people would like. But it was actually a very novel idea, because the round being compressed from 40mm to 30mm gave it tremendous power on the enemy. And it made these rounds able to punch through much, much thicker metal. Well, he's blasting away at that Valentine 2 with auto-aim. Be careful. If your teammate drives in front of you, you will do team damage. This was back when team damage actually was in the game. Now, he's doing a lot of auto-aiming at this point. Okay, be careful. Don't want to do team damage. Well, he's got a second kill. Andromeda's going for it. He is firing premium ammo. Some of these tanks he's up against do have very strong armor. The Panzer B2 is basically a Char B1 with extra armor. But he's punching through them. He could probably use standard ammo now. Oh, that's another kill. And he's going for the T28. Use the standard ammo now because the T28 doesn't have armor, really. What he does appear to have is the 76mm gun. And now he's punching through the other T28. Oh, potentially got the high caliber. He's got 20% of the enemy hit pool. He's now going to try and get the duck. Yep, quack, quack. Look at the way his shells are going straight through, but he is still using APCR. And no, he didn't get that one. Didn't get that kill, but here's another two tanks he can take out. He locks onto the Lux, who dives into cover. No, you're going to have to drive forward. There's only 5 enemy left. There's only one of their team being killed. Amazing. And in fact, the enemy is behind them. I wonder how they managed to sneak round, or was it the fact that they just ignored the tanks that were actually in that pocket? He actually got a proximity there on the Panzer B2, and he's got another kill. And he's just spotted the M8A1, who's firing. I think that's the 3-inch gun. It's 75 Alpha. Surely not. No, it's the SU-85 now, so that's an 85mm gun. Try and... Oh, he's manually aiming now. That's good. Okay, unfortunately, that other one's in the way. He can't get at the SU-85 because his teammate in the Panzer B2 is... Okay, the T-28 behind you. You go for that. And that is the last enemy alive. They've killed them all, except that T-28. So turn around. Dwayne Dibley's got 4 kills out of this one, and Splier's got 1. He's switched back to standard AP now. He will definitely penetrate a T-28 with standard ammo. I just head straight towards him. Splier's in the vicinity. He's only got 1 hit point left though. And the T-28 gets killed by the Valentine AT. So it is a victory. That was one hell of a game. And here's the end of battle results. And that was an ace tanker game yet again for Andromeda in the Matilda. He managed to pick up a fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points to his own vehicle. A fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. He got 4 exactly. A duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him. A hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from 4 different enemy tanks. A bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. And on top of that, he got some other medals as well. He got a Spartan because he took at least a hit from, or a non-penetrating shot whilst he had less than 10% of his hit points left. A cool-headed for surviving a ricochet, non-penetrating shot from the enemy, at least 10 after 10 ricochets. A high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game. Steel wall for blocking the most damage in the game, at least 11 hits and over 1,000 block damage. And a Confederate as well on top of all that for hitting more of the enemy than anyone else on his team. His win rate on this one wasn't quite as high on the Empire's Border game. He got 9,671 on this one. Still very high though. And if you look at team score, you can see he's right at the top of the table when it came to damage with 1,946. And the highest scoring player on the enemy team was the SU-85 who did 1,553. And you'd expect that because that guy's got an 85mm gun, so he can rack up the damage quite fast if he can get clean shots at the enemy. Okay, so number of kills. Yep, he's got the highest number of that, but he shares that one with Dwayne Dibley. They both managed to get 4 kills, and 2 kills went to the M8A1, and his platoon mate Splier only got the 1 kill during that game. When it came to base XP, it's Andromeda again with 924, We've got the Panzer B2 managed to get 873. And Dwayne Dibley got 507 in that one. And we can see that Splire's a little further down with 318. I think they were just playing this game for pure fun. Let's have a look at the detail. 56 shots fired. Yes, that is a bit of a conundrum, a tongue twister. 45 direct hits on the enemy and 37 penetrations, 1,946 hit points of damage, all of it at close range. He received 24 hits from the enemy. Of those, 8 penetrated, 16 non-penetrations, and he blocked damage of 491 hit points in total. He damaged 10 of the enemy, killed 4, so there's your 6 difference to the Confederate, 144 hit points of damage assistance in the game. He earned 33,966 credits from the game and 16,983 from personal reserves, and that brought up a total of 50,949 credits altogether. The problem was that he actually did fire a fair amount of premium ammo, and after repair as well, he ended up with a loss of 16,886 credits. He did pick up 3 bonds and 1,386 XP. Same again for completing a mission, took away 2,772 experience points altogether. I suppose in this one, it was just the fact that it was everybody just pile on in on the enemy. It was just driving his way straight through their ranks and blasting away as much as you can. And that's the sort of row of medals you end up with in a Matilda if you do that. Although you do tend to lose a lot of hit points in the process, and I think Splire ended up with just 1 hit point. I can't remember how much Andromeda ended up with, but it wasn't a lot, because he did manage to get a Spartan medal as well as cool-headed. So, yes, he was very, very holy at the end of the game. I hope you enjoyed both of those replays. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.